Hello and welcome. It's Justin here from DevShack Coding Academy, and in this week's video I will be going over the solution to the quiz that was posted on the DevShack Coding Academy Facebook yesterday. So let's get started right away. And if we take a look at the question that was posted, you'll see that we were asked to consider the following expression in JavaScript. We had a Boolean with open paren and we close paren, but in there we had an expression which stated 12 is greater than 3. The quiz was what will be the output of the above expression? A, error, B, undefined, C, true, or D, false. A pretty simple quiz this week. And so the short answer is C, the output of that Boolean function will evaluate to true. And so just to prove that that is 100% correct, we can head on over to a console that I've got open here, available in the Chrome Dev Tools. We can just recreate this expression and we open up this Boolean function. All right, and we can pass in this expression 12 greater than 3, and you'll see that we do in fact get back true there. That is the quick and simple answer to the solution. However, there are a few things that I wanted to go through while we are on the subject. First thing that I wanted to discuss was most of us are pretty used to working with the normal Boolean primitive types, so that would either be true or false. If we take a look at this Boolean variable that we stored here, you'll see that it is indeed storing the value of false. And if we do a type of, and we just pass in our variable bool there, you'll see we get back that primitive type of. That is what we are used to working with. Once we have those values, we can then use them in conditional statements to do any type of logic. For here, we can just do a quick check to see, obviously, because this value of bool is false at this point in time, this line of code is not going to run. If we reverse the logic and said if not bool, then you'll see we get hello. So you should be pretty used to that as a JavaScript developer. In this week's quiz, I introduced this Boolean function here, and basically it takes in an argument that you'll pass in there. In this case, we did the expression, but you could pass in anything else in here. And so you can see if we pass in an empty string, which in JavaScript will evaluate to a falsy value, we'll get back the false value here. But what I wanted to show you was, if we set this up in a way where let's pass in false as the primitive value into this expression, and if we evaluate what x is, you'll see that it's false, right? And this is working as you would expect. If we take a look at the type of x, you'll see that it is indeed a Boolean. The thing that I really wanted to highlight here is that there's this object wrapper in JavaScript, which creates a new instance of Boolean here. So the only difference between this over here and the one that we've used previously is that this is a function which we pass in a value, and this is an object wrapper for Boolean, which we use the new keyword to instantiate a new instance of this. So I'm going to pass this exact same value in. All right, so we're going to pass in false. And now if we take a look and inspect what Z is here, you'll see that it's an object that has been passed back with the prototype of Boolean, all right? And it does say that the primitive value is false. And now here's the tricky part, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this conditional here with x. So remember, x is coming from this function, this Boolean function over here. If x evaluates to true, in which case this shouldn't, we won't get a console log in there, right? So you'll see that I run this code, we don't get anything back over here. Let's see what happens when we evaluate the same for z, which z is coming from this object wrapper. And so if I do a console log, and I'll just do a lowercase hello, you'll see when we run this line of code here, we get back hello. So even though this value of z is false, the fact that it's coming back from this Boolean object changes the whole way, and you cannot use this as a normal primitive type. So this is definitely something to be aware of. So just to show you, if we do a type of z, you'll see that it is indeed an object. So that is not going to work the same way as a normal Boolean will. And so that is everything that I wanted to go through in terms of this quiz. And if you got it correct, well done. If you didn't, well, the answer is there. We just dived a little bit deeper into Booleans, other types of Booleans, as opposed to the normal primitive types that we see. We looked at the object wrapper really quickly, which is instantiated with the new keyword, as well as the Boolean function, which takes in an argument and returns a Boolean primitive type from that expression. So that's it for this week's quiz. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now.